Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm bringing you guys Week 7 quarterback rankings for fantasy football in 2020. We are going to be discussing quarterbacks 1 through 20 in this video and kind of discuss why I have them ranked where I do based upon the matchup for this week in week number 7. Before I get into this, I'd like to ask that if at any point inside of this video you end up having a great time, you end up having a nice chuckle, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Week 7 quarterback rankings. We begin with quarterbacks 1 through 12. Coming in at QB1 for the week, we got Russell Wilson at the Arizona Cardinals. This game just screams a million points by Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson coming off the bye week. The Arizona Cardinals coming off of a short slate on Monday, so they have less time to prepare. They've been preparing for 2 fucking weeks, the Seattle Seahawks have been. This game screams Russell Wilson, 7 zillion touchdowns to Mr. DK Metcalf, to Tyler Lockett, and all of that jazz there. They obviously didn't end up winning the Antonio Brown roulette there. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers smuggled his ass over there, so Russell Wilson will not have him to add to this offense, but it doesn't fucking matter. DK Metcalf is still really good. Tyler Lockett is really good, and Russell Wilson has looked like a straight-up world beater at this point. In my opinion, probably going to win MVP if it was given out right now, and based upon how he's been playing, I honestly think he's going to win it at the end of the year. Here up against Arizona, this is a great matchup for Russ. At number 2, we have Patrick Mahomes going up against the Denver Broncos in Mile High Stadium. Patty Mahomes going up against the Denver Broncos in this game is a pretty solid in-division matchup for him. Patrick Mahomes rarely ever disappoints regardless of who he's playing against, and here he's not playing up against the greatest defense ever, so Patrick Mahomes should be pretty solid here. Now, the Denver Broncos defense isn't some type of pushover where Patrick Mahomes is just going to put the pedal to the metal, but he's Patrick Mahomes also. He's the best quarterback in the NFL, maybe besides Russell Wilson. He will be able to outdo anything the Denver Broncos can do. He's simply built fucking different. And Kermit the Frog, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes, is coming in at number 2 on the week. I expect a big game out of him. Speaking of big games, but a little guy, Kyler Murray, Mr. 5'9", going up against the Seattle Seahawks. I just talked about how Arizona's kind of screwed for winning the game because they're coming off of a short week. But I still believe, short week, short guy, Kyler Murray. But at the end of the day, he's still going to be able to play well. Just because they haven't had 2 weeks to prepare for this game doesn't mean that the Seattle Seahawks are going to shut down Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray and that offense is very good, and the Seattle Seahawks defense is so-so. I really do think that Kyler Murray is going to put up some big points in this game. He's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks in fantasy football thus far this season, and I would not even be surprised is if Russell Wilson slightly regressed and maybe they tried running the ball more. If Kyler Murray finished as the quarterback 1 on the year, that's just how good he is, both with his legs as well as through the air. At number 4, we have Joshie Allen going up against the New York Football Jets in New York / New Jersey, because they play in fucking New Jersey. My only worry about Allen somehow finishing outside of the top 5 is if he fucking puts the pedal to the goddamn metal. He steps on the chest. Everything. He just takes a shit, a hefty shit after eating Taco Bell all over the New York Football Jets face, and at the end of the game, they're just handing it off a million times. That's really the only way where Josh Allen doesn't absolutely eviscerate the New York Football Jets. Now, Sammy Darnold, is going to play in this game, so that's actually a bonus for Josh Allen, because if it was Cool Joe, they'd probably put up another goose egg. But with Sam Darnold, they may actually be able to score a touchdown or 2 to make it so that Josh Allen actually has to do something later in the game. At number 5, we have Aaron Rodgers going up against the Houston Texans. Now, I understand last week, Aaron Rodgers, after he did the triple pump, the hump of the air, the Hingle McCringleberry, he absolutely fell apart, and the guy fucking crumbled completely. But he's not going to crumble up against the Houston Texans. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know that. The Aaron Rodgers, man, has one bad game, and people are always on this guy's ass. I was on his ass, and we all lit a fucking spark underneath that ass of his, and this man has been discount double checking all season long. Touchdowns on touchdowns on touchdowns, good plays on good plays on good plays, and he is going to be stacking up those great plays up against the Houston Texans defense this week. At number 6, we have the guy on the other side of the ball, or the other side of the field, Desean Watson, going up against the Green Bay Packers at home in Houston. Desean Watson, despite losing DeAndre Hopkins, has still looked pretty solid. Now, after they fired Mr. B.O.B. Bill O'Brien, Desean Watson has looked simply like a different fucking breed. Bill O'Brien was holding this man back. He's like one of those parents that leashes their fucking 5-year-old kid up so he doesn't run away from them in Kohl's and then pulls him back. That's what Bill O'Brien had on him, right? Just this long leash that he was just tugging back on him, saying, fuck you, Desean. I'm going to limit you. I'm going to put limits on you because you're great, but I'm bad. Now, he has a new head coach, Romeo fucking Crennel, all right? And Desean Watson is playing much better with him. He looked very good up against the tough Tennessee Titans defense last week, so I expect really good things out of him this week at number 6. At number 7, we have Maddie Ice. Now, Maddie Ice, the beginning of the season, world beater. The last couple of games looked like he was beating the shit out of you through your screen. You put him in your lineup, and this guy hit you with the 1-2 Mayweather straight to the goddamn dome when you set him in your lineup because he was beating you up, and you were being so sad that you couldn't even beat off after the games because of how disappointed you were in Matt Ryan. Now, he looked very good last week. After the firing of Dan Quinn, these motherfuckers get rehabilitated. They turn great again. Simply, that's just what's happening. The same thing with Desean Watson. Same thing here with Matt Ryan up against the Detroit Lions. The battle of the Matthews. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think both these guys are going to put up good games. At number 8, we have Matthew Stafford up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, if you're grading these defenses, I'm 90% sure the Atlanta Falcons defense sucks complete and utter hog. So does the Detroit Lions, but the Atlanta Falcons defense is much worse. With that said, I kind of try to grade the situation. Maybe Matt Patricia has gotten the hole out of his head and realizes he needs to run the ball a little more, which will take down Matthew Stafford's potential to score a bunch of touchdowns. But in this game, I expect it to be a back-and-forth affair where Matthew Stafford and Matt Ryan, both the Matts, have a good game. At number 9, we have Justin Herbert, Horsecock Herbert, up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, last week, talking about Matthew Stafford, this seemed like the slam dunk, the alley-oop. It was like Dwayne Wade to LeBron James, that type of pass. It's wide open, and it would be like if LeBron James just didn't catch the ball. Or if he went to slam it, and he just missed the basket. That's what that was. Matthew Stafford had a soft serve ice cream game, a cupcake game, a simpleton defense, and he didn't do good. But Justin Herbert, the pervert, Horsecock Herbert, has looked A1 like the goddamn steak sauce the last couple of weeks, and I expect Herbert to put up a big game here up against the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 9. I've moved him significantly up as the week has gone on. At number 10, we have Big Ben Roethlisberger going up against the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Titans did not look very good on defense up against the Houston Texans last week. Big Ben has looked very good thus far this season, throwing all types of dimes to Chase Claypool, and I expect another big game here out of Big Ben, even though it's away, and Big Ben is typically that guy that you really only want to start at home because he's just simply built different at home. He's just so much better. At number 11, we have Cam Newton going up against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Cam Newton needed some Viagra last week because he looked straight up limp dick out there on the field up against the Denver Broncos. Now, I expect him to eat that pill like he's in the Matrix and go balls deep in the San Francisco 49ers. I feel like Bill Belichick simply will not lose coming back after a fucking horrific loss, straight up, not even to a quarterback, to a goddamn kicker who kicked 70 field goals in that game. I think he actually kicked 6, Brandon McManus did in that game. A murder by field goals, and I think this is going to be a murder by Cam Newton like O.J. Simpson did to that woman. Too soon? Maybe, maybe not. But the glove's not going to fit after Cam Newton lays the absolute murder game down on the 49ers. I believe in a bounce back, but I am worried. So that's why I got him at 11. At number 12, we have the most underestimated man in the NFL, Ryan Tannehill, former Miami Dolphin, used to be my favorite player. Now he's gone. Tua is my favorite player, but I do still respect Ryan Tannehill up against the Pittsburgh Steelers here. This guy is heavily doubted. He's putting up stats similar to the guy at number 2, Patrick fucking Mahomes. Even in an offense that gives Derrick Henry 200 yards last week, it was 100 away from being 300 like the Romans, 300 bitches, whereas the Trojans, shout out to Kanye West, Ryan Tannehill has been outstanding. This matchup does scare me like Paranormal Activity did, so I'm not all bought in on Tannehill for this week. For the rest of the season, I'm very bought in. But temper your expectations here up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now on to quarterbacks 13 through 20. So, real quick, before we finish out the quarterbacks, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com also offers something different than the matchup shop. This is the Week 7 shootout under the progressive games. It is very simple. All you have to do is pick 5 player versus player matchups. Who scores more fantasy points, Matt Ryan or Drew Brees? Big Ben or Ryan Tannehill, so on and so forth, and then order them in order of importance and how good you think they are going to do, because if the guy's at the top at 5, you get the most points, lowest at 1, you'd get the most points for that being correct. So you want to make sure the one you're least confident in is at the bottom. It's very simple. You can make a whole lot of money out of this. This is an $11 entry one, but there's entries at every single price. First place gets $500 and top 10% wins $50. So make sure you guys check this out. OverlayDFS.com. Link down below in the description. And we are back. Coming in at quarterback 13, we have Tampa Bay Tom Brady up against the Las Vegas Raiders. And this game could get dangerous like fucking Baker Mayfield when he wakes up in the morning, because the Las Vegas Raiders offensive line is dead. Not actually dead. Not to joke about death, but a lot of them have corona. That does not sound very good for Mr. Derek Carr, who we are going to be talking about later. Tom Brady played phenomenal up against the Green Bay Packers. The only limitation to TB12 is the fact that Bruce Arians has decided to actually run the ball. Bruce Arians has discovered the run game, which is kind of scary, okay? But understand that Tom Brady is still going to look good up against the Raiders, so I got him at 13. And number 14, we have the other old men, the two old men of the NFL, Drew Brees, limp dick Drew Brees, who has no wide receivers now. Michael Thomas, gone. Hamstring injury, bitching injury, crybaby injury, I have no idea. Emmanuel Sanders missing as well. Jared Cook and Alvin Kamara season. Now, does that hurt Drew Brees completely? Not necessarily. But it doesn't make me feel as confident in his 14 ranking. But kind of after 13, 14 here, it's looking a bit risky business back here. So I'll take Drew Brees up against the Panthers in what I believe will be a nice, solid back-and-forth affair here. But there's obviously worries without those big wide receivers for Drew Brees. At 15, we got Big Dick Joe Burrow up against the Cleveland Browns. Now, Joe Burrow had his first great game of his NFL career against the Cleveland Browns in week number 2, his first ever primetime game on Thursday night. Now, this game is being played on Sunday, and I think Joe Burrow looks good again here. Joe Burrow has been very solid thus far this season, despite one really bad game up against the Baltimore Ravens, but that was a case of the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals playing a team that is just another upper echelon, 50 echelons better than them. Joe Burrow going up against the Browns. The Browns are, sure, the record's better, but they're not that much better where Joe Burrow won't be able to actually do something in this game. So I like Burrow here at 15. Honestly, I might, no, I wouldn't, but you could do some mental gymnastics and get yourself to want to start him over Drew Brees. Number 16, we have Gardner, the Minshew, Gardner Minshew, mustache man, Gardner Minshew, up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, Gardner Minshew, even when they're getting their backs blown out in the game, even when they're getting fucked raw dog in the ass, they still somehow pull out points for Gardner Minshew. The other team isn't pulling out of them, but he pulls out the points, and he plays quite well. So up against the Chargers, it's going to be a backdoor. Couple of touchdowns for Gardner Minshew. This motherfucker is literally a better version of Blake Bortles from the past. If you guys have been playing fantasy for a long time, you remember Blake Bortles, Jaguars legend, the GOAT quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This motherfucker would have like 7 points in the first half of the game. In the third quarter, he'd have 10. And then out of nowhere, like fucking Randy Orton, this man goes from 10 points to 30, and it made no sense. Now, Gardner Minshew isn't doing that, so I guess he's Blake Bortles light, but he's actually a much better player than Blake Bortles. So, I like Gardner Minshew here at number 16 up against the Los Angeles Chargers. At number 17, we have Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Roosevelt, going up against the New Orleans Saints, Teddy Bridgewater, Horsecock Bridgewater. I like him in this game up against the New Orleans Saints. I think he's a very, very safe bet to be solid on a weekly basis. So, with that said, I don't think there's tremendous upside, but he's also a super safe option if you're kind of fucked at quarterback. Do this significant amount of buys on this week. At number 18, we have Jared Goff going up against the Chicago Bears. Now, I am as unsure as it gets about Jared Goff every single time this motherfucker steps on the gridiron. 1 week, this man is looking like Patrick Mahomes. Now, not as good as Patrick Mahomes, but he's looking like the best version of Jared Goff. He ate the correct cereal in the morning. He is built different some days. Other days, this man looks like deflated like a football in New England, and he looks awful. And it's a coin flip on which Jared Goff you're going to get on a weekly basis. So I like Jared Goff not really all that much because he's playing up against the Bears. But I like Jared Goff, the quarterback. I just worry about him being so hot and so cold, like the icy hot on Shaq's back. So I'm going to go ahead here and put Goff at 18. And number 19, we have Derek Carr going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this matchup would have been all right. The Bucs defense is pretty good, but the Raiders offense has been sneaky good. But now with the offensive line that is going to get trounced, they're going to look like a fucking turntable. Not a turntable. What is that thing called? When you walk onto the subway, it's the... jeez, I don't know what it's called. I Googled it. The answer was turnstile, and I've made this joke 7 million times on my channel that some offensive lines look like a fucking turnstile. The offensive line is going to look like the Red Sea when Moses parted that bitch. He said bang, bang, and he walked right through it because he's built different like that. And so that could be the case of Derek Carr looking like David Carr from the past, getting absolutely laid out. But he could still play well, so I got him at 19 because behind him, there's not really all that many options. And at number 20, we have I am not a pussy, Baker Mayfield up against the Cincinnati Bengals. He said he's not a wuss. He said, I'm fine. And then last week, when he said that, he played like shit. So his ribs are clearly still fucked up. It's like when Adam gave Eve his rib. Now, I'm obviously not some type of fucking expert of the Bible, but I take Christianity class, so I like to incorporate some biblical jokes in here for you guys. So Baker Mayfield going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, I like him a decent amount if he was healthy, but him not being completely healthy, I'm very worried about him, so I got him at quarterback 20 on the week. So let me know if you guys did end up enjoying this video by hitting that like button. Make sure if you ended up enjoying and you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys check out overlaydfs.com. Link down below in the description. Have a great rest of your guys' day, and I'll see you beautiful bastards later with another banger of a video. As always, be safe. I love you. Goodbye.